Three, two, one. We're on.
All right, we are on, and I welcome everybody to the Troy and Danny show, or Danny and Troy show, or actually
Danny and Troy.
the Danny and Troy show.
I
If
think
you're
that
looking for
sounds
us on
better.
YouTube,
Yeah.
it's alphabetical. And tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of things. And Troy is, as you can see from the background, sitting near the tiger's nest in Paro area, Paro Valley. There it is. We've both been there. It's
Actually,
fascinating.
I took that photo. It's not just ripped
Did
off
you?
the internet. Yeah, I took that.
Wow. I was wondering what the clouds were doing there, because it is like there's some kind of a message in the clouds. They're just trying to
Right.
figure it out. And they haven't got nice photograph though. Good lighting.
Mm,
And it's cold inside. There's no heating and air conditioning up there, right?
no.
Matter of fact, it's a little damp, I think, but that's from its position, on the mountainside and where the sun is hitting it. It's really quite nice. Really quite nice.
Yeah.
They ask you not to take pictures inside,
No,
but Troy took this one outside.
that's it. Yeah.
And so the subject, since he's in Happy Land, is to discuss Troy's adventure in happiness. And I'll be coming up now and then with a comment or two about some things. One of them being power, and then the other one being today is Maslenitsa, which we'll talk about later. And I hope to weave it into Troy's conversation. Troy doesn't even know what it is, but I'll be more than happy to tell you. It's a Russian holiday.
Right.
No, not Russia again. So Troy, why don't you tell us about your adventures with happiness?
Sure. I mean, I think this theme of happiness is very prominent in Bhutan, and they have a concept called GNH, gross national happiness, which they use as a national metric for prosperity. And that was introduced by the fourth king back in the 70s, as he was a young king and needing to attend these economic forums, and everybody was talking about GDP as a metric of measuring the nation's status and position in the world. And he just so happened to speak up in front of a camera, I guess, or in an official setting one day, and say, well, I think something like gross national happiness should be more appropriate than GDP. And then after that, people started asking him what did he mean and everything related to that. So of course, the concept became as more broad than just measuring money. And as he explained it way back then, is that if you cut down all the trees of Bhutan and sold them, of course, you'd increase the gross domestic product, but what will it do for the people in the aspect of happiness? And for the first 20 to 30 years, this concept just sat with Bhutan as a way of measuring the nation's prosperity, but there wasn't any formal record. They didn't do surveys. They didn't kind of take note of, okay, well, how do I measure it? It was just in the hearts and minds of the people. As it became something that was known with Bhutan, it became a philosophy for the people to follow. And then yeah, the last 20 years or the longer, people have been saying, well, I mean, the interest has grown outside of Bhutan, and they asked, okay, well, how do we measure it? And then Bhutan has set up the Center of Bhutan Studies and yeah, task force around G&H, and they have then said, okay, yeah, we got to measure it, and they start doing surveys and working out these 33 indicators. I mean, the number of indicators was going up and down for a little while, and they got 4 pillars, and put some kind of metrics around how they do G&H. But I mean, my experience from being here, I first came to Bhutan in 2014, and then in 2017 set up my company, Bhutan Data Scientists, at the tech
How did you
park.
hear about it, Troy? I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sure.
How did you hear about this whole thing?
Well,
And what was it that attracted you?
yeah, I mean, it started actually, I was working at Queensland University of Technology, and there was that role there was one of my first official roles as a data scientist. And we were working on big data in Twitter and social media analytics. We built the Australian Twitter sphere, where we collected over 1 billion tweets that were all Australian, and the researchers I was working with sat and looked at it and worked out, okay, with the groups that were involved and the connections they had with each other. But yeah, this particular day, I logged these jobs on this supercomputer, and I just had to wait for them to run. So there was nothing much for me to do for the rest of the day. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I decided to head home, and I caught a courtesy bus from one campus to the other. And on the way, I just so happened to sit next to a Bhutanese who was studying at the university doing his PhD on, as he described, he's doing his PhD on happiness. And I was like, what? How do you do that? And then he started explaining about Bhutan. I mean, I'd heard of Bhutan before, but I'd never heard of G&H before. So this was back in 2013. And then that's where I sort of established this fascination to learn more about Bhutan and how they measured happiness. So I came to Bhutan the next year, got introduced to a number of ministers and leaders, business leaders in the country. And yeah, there was this kind of feeling or energy that that I felt, like some level of calmness that basically, yeah, I fell in love with. And that drew me back. And when I found out that they had set up a tech park, the Thimphu Tech Park, recently, and they were looking for investors through the foreign direct investment, and the minimum investments weren't too large and could be paid, over time. My position as a digital nomad was growing because I could work from anywhere in the world as long as I had my computer and the laptop and the internet connection. Yeah, as well as doing QUT work, I was working for Curtin University on the other side of Australia. I was working in a project in the US that was looking at Asian work exposure levels. So the US was doing, it was called Asia Lymphoma. It was an NIH funded project that looked at what the lymphatic cancers position in China was, and compared it with the US. So yeah, I was working globally anyway, and for me to kind of set up an office in Bhutan sounded pretty cool, and that's why I pursued it and got it all set up. And in the same time, I could develop my own knowledge and interest around how these guys measure happiness. in the concept of G&H. But yeah, as I've been learning that and spending some time in Bhutan, I realized that it would have been better, I feel, if they never started digging in and building these metrics for the last 20 years. And talking to the people, they think, oh no, they're doing another G&H survey, and it makes them unhappy when they have to go through this process of trying to describe how happy they are. But the concept that the fourth king, established, and having it as a philosophy, or just in the hearts and minds of people to kind of think about, worked much better. And for me, yeah, I've kind of been able to contemplate and sit in this environment. As I said, the calming energy and all the environment kind of just sparks and establishes that aspect of it's kind of, I think, like an enabling environment. Of course, it's not just in Bhutan. Anywhere you can find a nice quiet spot in a forest, or environmentally and naturally sound. But in Bhutan, it just, for me anyway, seems more prominent and a nice aspect to sit and think about these aspects of happiness. And what it comes down to for me, really, is about living in the moment. And you probably, heard like living in the now, and not keeping your mind or worried about what's going to happen in the future, and not holding on to things that have happened in the past, and that sort of philosophy I was aware of before I came to Bhutan. So yeah, as I was actually introduced to it from my ex-wife, my first wife, when I was so busy doing things with my career, developing as a data scientist. One day she came to me. I had to drive actually to my sister's place. It was about a 45 minutes drive, and I just had to go pick up something and come back. So she said, hey, on the way, take this and listen to it. And it was an Eckhart Tolle CD. Eckhart Tolle's spiritual teacher, and talks about, he wrote the book, The Power of Now. That was his first book. And he had this audio, it was a little CD. So I put it in, and he started talking about these things in a nice, presentable, almost scientific way that connected with me, that sparked my interest. And that would have been, I guess, a couple of years before 2013. That would have been about 2011. And then that's kind of sparked my interest on this spiritual development side. And I started reading more about Eckhart Tolle and his work, and Deepak Chopra and Prem Rawat, which kind of, for me, brought some level of happiness to understand and to consider. Because I guess the reason why Nicole, my first wife, gave me that CD, because I got stressed, and I was caught up with all the worries about the future, and that really helped me. And then developing that kind of love of getting into the spiritual nature just naturally fit when it was time to kind of be here in Bhutan and learn more, and go to the temples like that one, talk to the monks, and they brought concepts like Lina Yisum, which is using your speech, your mind, and your body all as one, and mantras and rituals. So back to, yeah, happiness. I think everybody can find their own happiness. Where they'll find their own happiness is in the now. It's to be present in a present state, in whatever environment, whatever learnings, whatever teachings and people around you can enable that. They are there, and it does take some time and effort, I think, to kind of pursue that and remind yourself, or for me anyway, to establish these environments. If that is of interest, is to keep happiness as a focus point. Happiness, yeah, is kind of a plug-in word. Of course, for me anyway, I have times of not being happy, but there is a level of peace. So, right now we're in lockdown. It's a crazy time. We're supposed to be doing all these, I'm supposed to be doing all this catch up and this development work on reworking and restructuring the company. The company hasn't done well, by the way. I mean, it's just been a kind of an experiment, but yeah, definitely learned a lot and have the environment now to come to Bhutan whenever it makes sense to. But yeah, it hasn't been an easy road. I wouldn't say, I'm happy about it, but it's definitely experience. And I've accepted that, and being able to yeah, learn or just absorb the things that happen in a state of presence, or in a state of peace, is what I've learned from yeah, this experience of, which is now still, yeah, a company in Bhutan called Bhutan Data Scientists, and we're, yeah, looking to establish that. I mean, it might be a good opportunity to talk about the future of the possibility of Bhutan Data Scientists, which the government and call now in Bhutan, the Bhutanese government are realizing that they have this position to invite digital nomads, and there's a report talking about and using those exact words, to come to Bhutan and spend some time on a kind of working / holiday, so they can, yeah, sit amongst the trees and the mountains and the rivers, and kind of, yeah, have that opportunity, that environment to be creative, to be innovative, and be productive, and yeah, experience Bhutan in that way. Of course, COVID and global situations right now have put huge delays and question marks around that. But yeah, if that develops, I mean, I could be and seen as one of the first to go through that, and be the showcase of what Bhutan has to offer.
You even met with the king, I believe.
Yes,
about data science.
The fifth king, yeah, the current king came by to the tech park, yeah, and visited all the offices at the time, and yeah, he was really fascinated and interested to learn more about what I was doing and my motivations and my plans. And yeah, that sparked, actually, I was told that, yeah, not by His Majesty himself, but one of the people that works under him, is that, yeah, they thanked me for introducing data science to the country, because they've now set up a number of different data science projects, and it has grown in terms of the efforts and initiatives that are here in Bhutan to focus on data and data science.
Can you tell us what their understanding of data science is?
Well, yeah, I think they still have a little bit off in terms of um, the fundamentals that I've seen and I've grown as a data scientist. Um, yeah, in terms of data, for me, it's really around data management, analytics, and visualization. So, and data management comes first to get everything organized in a way that you can start analyzing it. You know, being a developing country, Bhutan, one has limited infrastructure, and that has caused kind of limited data, but it's sporadic data. The data is there, but yeah, they're kind of jumping into the analytics a little too early. So their concept, and this is not uncommon in the world, just to associate data science with machine learning and predictive analytics, but it's not everything that data science has to offer. So the organization of your data and the data management has kind of been overlooked, and the visualization, they haven't really got to that yet, that in terms of interactive systems to be able to play with the data and to yeah, allow everyday users to perhaps modify and ask questions of the data. And that's the role of the data scientist, is keep it nice and tight, the data managed, allow and produce some level of data analytics, and to establish these visualizations that present the right information to the right person at the time. And you don't know really who's going to be looking at the data and who and what they want out of the data. So, and that's why the interaction or the interactivity is required when you're presenting that visual layer. But yeah, they've got a fair bit to go in terms of, I mean, yeah, data analytics is a big part of it, and upskilling people around that is important. But yeah, I've already started talking to some of the guys and presenting some advice around stepping back a few steps and going, okay, how does our data look, and how is it being managed, and where did it come from, and how clean is it, and is it worthwhile moving ahead into the analytics? Because when the data itself is questionable, you can do a lot of work in analytics and visualization, but it can turn out to be a little bit of a waste of time.
Can I go back for a second?
Yeah.
Because you didn't say the words, but you were talking about quantifying happiness, right? Turning it into some kind of a statistic or statistical analysis or result that when you talk with people like you're talking with us now, you're mentioning the word visualize. And I'm having trouble myself interpreting what data is. I mean, I would like to have a picture of it, It's like a hammer. Is it like a hammer? Is it like a needle and thread? How can I apply it in my everyday life? What benefits does it bring me? And then to make a government aware of it, which is what you did, because they started doing this upstairs of where your office was. So I think it's pretty clear that, you're the pioneer. Absolutely. I mean, who else could there be? And now they want to go somewhere else only after, which I find, in examples in my life as well. If you want to be successful in New York, the first thing you have to do is leave.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And maybe it's only then that they realize the worth of water when the well is dry or drying up. Or, we all have different sensitivities to time, right? How it passes, what I'm doing. If I'm busy, time goes in one play, one speed. If I'm not busy, it goes at another speed. And you've got a lot of questions around data that even now with a person like myself who really wants to understand it better. I'm not at the point where I'm saying, thank you, Troy. Okay, now let's bring in the girls who do the flowers, right? And we can talk about them. There has to be some temptation to do what you do, but I need to be able to visualize it a little better. Maybe it's my own fault. I don't know. But do you have this challenge in front of you in Bhutan? I would think, yes, you do. And with people like me, okay, yes, you do. But to promote this data analytics and what other words you might associate with data science, you have to have a very clear understanding yourself, and then have the ability to, transfer that knowledge and that sense of value to other people, right? So that people themselves can start understanding and asking you questions. That's it. That must be a big challenge for you.
Yeah, it is, and it has been, and I guess it's because one reason why it is because I kind of just fell into this role. I mean, I was
as a data scientist.
Yeah,
as a happy data scientist.
Well, that's right. As a data scientist in Bhutan, these things kind of just evolved around me. And yeah, particularly the data science aspect is that I had my own company and we were promoting data management assistance to researchers, and we just also did software development and ensured that they were utilizing the latest technology. So these researchers that I found myself working around and with were really focused on their particular domain or expertise. And it just so happens the majority of them around were epidemiologists and cancer researchers. And because they are so focused around finding the cure for cancer, or finding reasons for looking at how to collect data around breast cancer, prostate cancer, and they've gone, there's a methodology that they follow. They didn't have a lot of time to go and look for new technology, new ways of analyzing and collecting data, which, in terms of technology is rapidly changing and growing all the time. So as my kind of introduction, so I came from a science and IT background, which I did a double degree at university, and then just found myself working for these researchers, and the demand for my services increased. So I created this consulting company, and I was just saying, out there to promote myself, what I did. I didn't call it data science. I just kind of went through this list of things that covered data management and web development and new tool research and artificial intelligence integration. And when I was saying that in front of one particular person, he came back to me and said, well, you know what you are? You're a data scientist. And that's when things kind of fell into place. And I thought, what's a data scientist? That sounds nice and cool. And then when I looked it up, it was exactly what I was doing. And it did evolve out of the research and academia environment. But because of its impact, has quickly snatched up by the commercial industry. And that's when it really did boom. But I just kept on doing what I was doing, which was assisting others in utilizing technology and establishing clean and usable data to build on top of that, to build insights and to allow whatever focus or reason they were focused around. Like I said, the example I go to is around cancer research, and yeah, just support them in this space between a focus and a drive and the technologies that can help assist it. And because of how digitized the world is, it involves data, it involves learning new ways of adopting technology, and yeah, the ability to find out whether something is worthwhile or not is what the role of the data scientist is. And when I say something, I'm talking about new technology, so pieces of software or new approaches. This is the aspect that the epidemiologists are interested in, but it's not their focus, or they're really interested in something else. But my passion is to really play with the technology and to see what works and what doesn't work, and then integrate that and slowly apply it to those that can benefit from it.
You remind me of, like I want to call it a tech X-ray, right?
Well,
if you're going to be diagnosed, or tech MRI or whatever you want to call it, right? Where you go in and you want to find out where the malady is and where it's coming from in this particular case. And so you go in and you X-ray everything, and then you see a little insight pop up. Oh, that's it. I mean, where would we be without X-rays, right? It would be
right.
a different world than what we have now.
It's like, well, yeah, it's because of how digitized and the rate of technology, the growth and change of technology is so high, it has evolved this new role. It used to be everybody's problem or everybody's job anyway, to kind of manage their data, to find the tools. But because of the amount of data and how fast things change, it's evolved into its own role. And the one analogy I use is like cooking. So everybody, I believe, throughout their life will experience cooking, whether it's making a sandwich or a 3 or 4 course meal. There's some level of preparing food required, and but not everybody's a master chef, and at that top level of cooking a 4-course meal. And this is the same with data science. So everybody needs to manage data, everybody comes across data. Those that want to really become the master chefs of data are called the data scientists. And yeah, it's our role to kind of take that data and make that raw material and turn it into whatever the desire is of the people we're working for. And sometimes, yeah, you are asked to make a simple loaf of bread, and that's fine. But sometimes, yeah, you need to make, these larger complementary meals that use more sophisticated and high level ingredients, or hard to get ingredients.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting. So in your repertoire, in your schooling, in your life, in your travel and everything, you apply data science without the computers, I would imagine. When you look at something or when you talk to people, does your mind work as a computer or as a data analyst or a data scientist? I mean, how does your mind work in everyday circumstances? How do you look at people? How do you look at things? And has this trip or this residence in Bhutan helped you in any way?
Yeah, I think I used to get into a little bit of or trouble or confusion when I used to talk to people and say, hey, you don't even need a computer to be a data scientist, and it can be done, which is all true, and I can see that, but I've kind of listened to the advice of people saying, look, I mean, yes, that's true, but there is this aspect of the data science that, you know, needs a computer and requires aspects of cleaning data and applying software and moving ahead. But so, yeah, that aspect of data science, and everybody is a data scientist, they just don't know it. It's something I used to say, but I don't promote anymore much because it kind of, and this is why people were explaining to me the way is like it kind of diminishes your job there. And if you're saying everybody's a data scientist, what's the point of, you know, what you do? And I was thinking, well, not because of any diminishing aspect, but when I am working, like solving these challenges with the you know, cancer research study we're setting up, which will be one of the largest cancer research studies focusing on occupation, which is running out of the EU. When I'm working on that, I am in the flow. And when I say working, you know, I'm looking at the databases, I'm fixing problems, and I'm integrating it with systems and building software that can talk to this database and that database. So I just am in the flow, and I enjoy doing that. And I know that not everybody can do that, but that's the work of the data scientists. And yeah.
Are you a little like an accountant in that regard?
Well,
crunching numbers?
yeah, I mean, accounting is one domain in the data science realm. So this is another thing that I've come across with running my own companies and being involved with the accountants, is establishing new tools to help with accounting. And that's like the expert or the domain expert will be the accountant. So in my experience, it's mainly been epidemiologists. So I sit next to epidemiologists and I help them manage the data and get the results they want. I also sit next to accountants and help them manage the data and get the results that they want in order to present the data back to me as a business owner. And yeah, the data science aspect is where you don't have to look in the context of accounting. What I've seen is, like, particularly here in Bhutan, people just leave it till the end of the year. There's no, monthly reports but with the application of new technology and clean data and data collection, automated data collection, it can become more real time. And having an accounting dashboard that shows you how your business is working and its position or its health in real time, when you have that, I mean, getting there would require the application of a data scientist's services. Unless, this work of the data science has already been done and put into a nice, neat software application. But again, there's, work for the data scientists to enhance whatever the role is. In this case, we're talking about the accountant. So yeah, the accountant has a job, and that job can be a difficult one, just like an epidemiologist trying to find the cure for cancer. But utilizing the services of a data scientist can help them stay up to date with the latest technology, ensure that their data is clean and real time, as close to real time as they can. And
what do you mean clean data?
Well, yeah, clean data. So that means that there's no incorrect information or false. And so there's aspects of quality data, meaning it's complete, it's not old.
If I gave you dirty data, could you help me clean it up?
That's the big part, yeah, of the first kind of data management aspect. And that's what I was saying. In Bhutan, they have a lot of data, but they're not, it might be like 10 years old, or it might be full of duplicates where they think they've got high numbers, but really it's all the same from the same person. Or yeah, it's not, the variance that isn't there in order to make certain assessments or analytics work. So there can be aspects of missing data. So big chunks that should be filled in, but were just skipped over. So all these aspects cause dirty data, or yeah, the requirement of cleaning the data so you know what you're dealing with when you move ahead and start applying the analytics.
What are you on to now?
In terms of,
Now, you've described some of your present projects, right? The epidemiology part of it,
yeah,
the analytic part of it. Would guess, what you do almost by nature now, right? Secondhand. And but this must drive you, a person with your kind of brain, it must drive you in a direction that you have maybe subconsciously or consciously defined yourself. Like you have to keep up with applications and everything that's happening, but as a result, it's given you some proprietary information about how to prepare for the future, for your future. What's next, because this stuff changes so rapidly, as you were saying, that I think you want to be first, you want to be the guy who does the best job, and so I need the best tools, and I need to keep working, and insights. There must be some valuable insight that you want to apply next in terms of, I don't know, predicting the future or being ready for the future.
Sure.
What would that be?
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I are working on projects around blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and I think the next step for me is really to migrate from the health industry into the kind of well-being of finance industry. So cancer research is a section in the health industry, but there's this kind of, and which kind of is influenced by Bhutan, this notion of well-being, which is a broader concept of, okay, my physical health, but am I happy? And that kind of integrates also with wealth, and wealth has a tie to finance. And then, yeah, application of latest technology, which is growing in cryptocurrencies, non-fungible tokens, near focal communication, and yeah, the integration of all these applications and software and technologies into our life as human beings to increase well-being. That's where I see I'm exploring, and we're exploring, and building on top of the network that we've established with the LinkedIn group, now fast approaching 170,000 members, to give something back to them as well, and to enhance what we have as a community of data scientists, and to try it out as well. That's why I see the data scientists a great opportunity to, because we're in this space of using new technology, let's also create our own new technology and get the support of the community to give feedback and also enhance it and work on it as a side project.
I think we're almost out of time, but I wanted to bring something up that I think that I mentioned in the beginning. It's not as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Particularly, I was very interested in what it is you were talking about. And that's a Russian holiday called Maslenitsa. And it celebrates the spring, coming of spring. And it's comes from pagan thinking, pagan religion, if you can call paganism a religion. That depends on, well, nature, right?
Cool.
And it's called Maslenitsa because masla is butter. That's the Russian word for butter. And butter is yellow, and yellow is the sun. So they make all these little round pancakes called blini, and they cover them with butter, you know. So it's like indulge at the same time when you're enjoying the coming of spring and what that does to people in their bodies and their minds and renewal aspects. There is a ritual that goes along with it, and that's the ritual of forgiveness. And they say, you know, principally, I'm sorry for any harm I have caused you, for lying to you, for betraying you, or just all the worst possible sins they try to put into one statement, and they ask for forgiveness. And then the other person, by ritual, accepts your plea for forgiveness,
Right.
and in turn says to you, please forgive me too for everything I have done wrong to you. And I couldn't help it. The only way I can see a match between data science and happiness and Maslenitsa and happiness, I suppose, in that regard, would be that wouldn't the world be a better place if we were all happy, regardless of whether happiness is the free exercise of power, a la Nietzsche, or something else. It gives us an internal perspective, which you were bringing to the science of data, and in this way, also being in a land where the operating procedure is based on happiness and forgiveness as well. I just thought I would mention that it seems to be a worldwide feature of life, that we don't become expert data scientists without having a soul, without having a sense of happiness and fun and joy. All of those I like to think are like the building blocks, not only of our business, right? Because if we're not having fun, we probably shouldn't be doing it. It's an indicator of some sorts, right?
Yeah.
Or if your mind is loaded down with all of the things that you've been doing to people, which is not good, and maybe only profits yourself. That's an aspect that we bring to people. I like to think we do, in saying to them, really, we don't prioritize money. We prioritize our life and what we're doing for our own happiness, whatever that is. We can talk about that later. Or, my own joy, my own satisfaction, my own, sense of accomplishment, whatever. All of those little, not so little, but important features that, from what I understand, are one of the things that allows you to do your work better by understanding and going to and helping people, Buddhists and whoever. You don't have to be a Buddhist to enjoy data scientists. And it's all part of living. It's not this segmentation of data science. It's you brought up a lot of different aspects about helping heal people and things like that. And that's our motivation. Right? Forgiveness is as much of a motivation as happiness. Right. I was speaking with Lena this morning, and she reminded me of it. And I said, for me, it's not about forgiveness. even though that goes against tradition. I said, for me, it's about acceptance, right?
Right.
Because if I start forgiving people, I think I'm measuring them against what my standards are and what my values are. And, that hit me the wrong way.
Mhm.
It's like, I can accept you for who you are, which
Mhm.
is work enough for me, and to say that not everybody agrees, not everybody understands everyone the way they would wish people would.
Mhm.
It's, it's around us, it's in us, and we try to integrate the higher values of things. And we've said that on our website, right? We like to learn from those who came before us, not only, whether it's a program or a coder or a data scientist or whoever, but those people have lives, and the work does not guarantee their happiness or their, sense of well-being, or however you define it. And so I think that the message, at least for me, is in throwing off, because today is March the 6th and it is the last day of Maslenitsa. And
Mhm.
people, celebrate in a material fashion, right? They eat
Yeah.
pancakes, and they're
Right.
really good pancakes too. And, it's a way of embodying a belief system, as much as data science is an embodiment of you and the values that you hold for people, and
Mhm.
in assistance to having a better life, and
Sure.
you've experienced that and continue to experience it, and your next venture, or our next venture, uh, should lead to our eventual goal, which we've defined for ourselves, right? And not to be an opportunist, to just take advantage of what people don't have. But in the longer term, you are the man that was responsible for the introduction of data scientists into Bhutan. And,
Yeah.
you have to start small. That's okay. And it's taken a while for them to get the message. But, now you're the guru. You're the, the guy that's there, that took the time
Right.
with heart and understanding and empathy to say, these are the ways in which I can help you. And now, you can charge for it. And I hope you do,
Yeah.
right?
Well, thanks.
So we can just pay for our misadventures.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you, Troy. It was
Thank you,
brilliant.
Dan.
I wish I had. I wish it were now in the beginning of the interview. I believe I could ask a little bit more important questions than I did, but I sure enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else did too. And we'll see you maybe tomorrow, if
Yeah.
that's okay with you.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that when we finish up here.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
My
And thank you,
pleasure.
everybody.
Yeah. Okay. And stay
All right.
tuned. There's more to come. Thanks for watching.
Terrific.